Friday, 12th June 2026. 3 Asia-Pacific AI stories before your first coffee. New Delhi is deploying an 8 exaflop AI supercomputer on Indian soil through a partnership with Abu Dhabi's G42, the Mohammed bin Zayed University of AI, and US chipmaker Cerebras, with India's Centre for Development of Advanced Computing coordinating the build from 64 Cerebras systems. The machine will operate under Indian data residency and governance rules, keeping all data in country, and capacity is earmarked for universities, government bodies and smaller firms as a sovereign alternative to renting compute from American hyperscalers. At 8 exaflops, the cluster would rank among the largest AI training installations outside the US and China. Why it matters: India gets a credible domestic compute layer without writing the full check itself, which changes the calculus for every Indian AI lab and startup currently paying dollar-denominated cloud bills to AWS, Azure, or Google. Universities and public sector agencies that previously lacked access to frontier-scale training runs now have a subsidized on-ramp, and that should accelerate Hindi and Indic language model work that hyperscalers have little incentive to prioritize. The trade-off is real, though. The chips are still American and the operator is Emirati, so Delhi has swapped one external dependency for a closer, more politically managed one. Capital allocators should watch whether this model gets replicated across Southeast Asia, where Indonesia and Vietnam face the same sovereign compute gap. Shanghai-backed Spacesail is assembling a satellite constellation targeting more than 15,000 satellites by 2030, positioning itself as China's direct answer to SpaceX's Starlink network. The push comes as SpaceX lists at a roughly $1.8 trillion valuation, raising $75 billion in what stands as the largest public debut on record. Spacesail flew a reusable rocket on 3rd of June and is already winning contracts in markets where Starlink faces political friction, including Brazil, signalling that the competition is commercial as much as geopolitical. Why it matters: for operators and governments across Asia-Pacific, a credible second supplier of low Earth orbit broadband changes the procurement calculus overnight. Countries that previously had one realistic option for satellite connectivity now have bargaining leverage on pricing, data sovereignty terms, and ground station placement. Capital allocators should watch which Southeast Asian and South Asian governments sign early framework agreements with Spacesail, because those deals will shape whether regional telcos integrate Chinese or American orbital infrastructure into their backhaul. The deeper second-order effect is another US to China infrastructure fork. After 5G and subsea cables, satellite broadband becomes the MET's domain, where Asia-Pacific nations face a binary vendor choice with long-term lock-in consequences. Cybercrime units across Asia are flagging a sharp migration of fraud operations into the platforms users trust most: WhatsApp, Facebook, and Google services. Scammers are embedding phishing pages inside cloud documents hosted on trusted domains, hijacking device links, and distributing malware through channels that bypass traditional URL filters. India alone logged more than 43,000 WhatsApp-linked cybercrime complaints in the first quarter of 2024, underscoring the scale of the shift away from standalone scam sites toward infrastructure that rides on platform credibility. Why it matters: for builders shipping consumer AI products in Asia, the trust layer is now the attack surface. Any app that integrates WhatsApp Business API, Google Drive previews, or Facebook login inherits the reputational risk of fraud that lives on those same rails. Regulators in India and Southeast Asia are already pressuring platforms to tighten device linking controls and domain-level verification, which means compliance costs will rise for startups relying on those ecosystems for distribution. The concrete second-order effect to track is whether platform-level crackdowns push scammers toward newer, less policed messaging apps popular in the region, fragmenting the fraud landscape and making cross-platform detection harder for both operators and law enforcement. That is your AIinAsia briefing for today. Stay sharp, build well, see you tomorrow.